Alright, we just got massive news about the future of Halo, and I'm actually shocked to say I feel good about it. I feel really excited. So 343, well, sort of, just released a new video about the future of the franchise, and things are, as needed, going in a completely different direction. 343 actually is no more. The studio handling Halo is now, well, Halo Studios. We heard a lot in the past year about layoffs, new hiring, executives being moved to other projects or leaving Microsoft in total. Now we know more about the internal direction for the Halo franchise, and the big change is that Halo is dropping its proprietary engine, which for Halo Infinite was the Slipspace engine, and moving to Unreal Engine. And if you read any of the reporting about Halo Infinite's development, the attempt to create a new engine alongside a general lack of direction and leadership is one of the reasons why the game launched so bare bones. And to this day, there are things in Slipspace like certain object physics, collisions, which still don't work quite right, and it's been holding the game back. In the announcement, they discussed the fact that moving to an existing engine means that 343, or now Halo Studios, doesn't have to attempt to be both a game studio and a tech company. They get to focus on making the game, which I think is certainly for the best. I want to preface this next bit by saying I've got no personal experience in game development, but I'm guessing the move to Unreal Engine will also open some other doors. We see in the video that they're partnering directly with Epic. I can see Halo being a real showpiece for the engine, especially if they do make it a graphical showcase like they say they want. But presumably working with such a commonly used engine will make hiring easier, should help new employees working on the game. It will hopefully allow the use of certain assets and textures and whatever else which already exist. Overall, it just makes sense, with the caveat that we're going to need to see the classic Halo gameplay, the Holy Trinity, the movement, everything in a new engine, and that's going to take some time to reproduce. So in this video from Halo Studios, we do see what they're calling the Foundry project, which they say was an attempt to see how far they could push things. Now, to be clear, the videos and the screenshots you're seeing on screen are not of the next Halo game. This is essentially a technical test, creating dioramas to fly around in. A research project to see how well the new engine would fit the look of Halo, and to me it looks great. We've got 3 environments specifically, a Pacific Northwest, traditionally Halo Infinite style biome. They talk about how they focused on density of foliage. It all looks really great to me. Obviously, in keeping with Halo Infinite, they've got the classic Forerunner style aesthetics. Hopefully the new game keeps those as well, but we're so far out from that I think it's important not to look too far into anything here. This isn't to say that the next Halo game is going to look like Halo Infinite. It's going to have a Pacific Northwest biome, nor does it mean the Flood are returning, because one of the other biomes is the Blight Lands. This was meant to be a fully alien world. I think this looks phenomenal. Once the Flood take over an atmosphere and an environment, it starts to change in a truly strange way. I love the growths and how the planet itself almost looks like it's turning into a giant flood form. And if this is the type of environment which can be created in Unreal Engine 5, I mean, that's pretty cool. The final biome is the Cold Lands, and this one specifically, they say, is meant to show off the technical abilities of Unreal Engine 5, and this is incredibly impressive. It reminds me a lot, actually, of the 2015 Star Wars Battlefront game, which was not made on Unreal Engine, by the way. It was made on Frostbite 3, but I love the amount of complexity you can see here with the snow drifts, the various levels of ice, how it all can adapt to dynamic lighting. Just overall incredibly impressive. But again, this is meant to look good. It's not meant to be what's realistic to play in. It is, however, I think reassuring that the new engine can at the very least look like Halo, and we do also get a look at a Spartan in what looks like some Mark 6 armor. Obviously, this whole trailer is meant to capture the feel of classic Halo, so again, don't look too far into this armor choice. But it is really interesting to see aspects which haven't really been a focus of past Halo games, like moving water, the energy sword, all get the forefront here. But ignoring all the technical aspects of Unreal Engine 5 and the switch away from Slipspace, the big news in this video is that there are several Halo projects under development. They say specifically that given the various development progress here, that Halo is actually looking to hire on more people basically across the spectrum. They talk about how they're trying to both expand the studio, but that Halo Infinite was the last of the old Halo, the last of the previous way of doing things. Hopefully that means, and one of my major concerns is that Halo looks to move away from Microsoft's classic problem of over-relying on short-term contract work. My friend Kevin Kulex has talked about this extensively, but in short, Microsoft doesn't like long-term contracts, and the constant turnover after 12 or 18 months makes it hard to really establish a good pattern of work. Now, surely the moving to Unreal Engine 5, a more common engine than the Slipspace engine, to put it lightly, will help with that, but I guess we'll see. To be honest, the other issue which a new engine isn't going to fix is Halo's story. I know some people like Halo 4, I straight up did not. Very few people like Halo 5, and the direction of the game, from not just a gameplay standpoint, but in general, has been really poor under 343. Everything from the decision to really dive into the Forerunners and also make them cats, to whatever the story is of Halo 5, to having to restart in Halo Infinite has been not good. Now, I know that 343, now Halo Studios, has seen massive turnover in terms of leadership, so hopefully that part of the ship can also be righted, but nothing of the new engine really helps me think that's the case. I'm certainly open to it, of course, and Halo Infinite in many ways was a step forward. They moved away from the terrible new 343 art style we saw in Halo 4 and Halo 5. I think there was like the beginnings of an interesting story, although it didn't really go anywhere, but I'm at least open to it. You know, when talking about gameplay as well, you also can't blame many of 343's mistakes on engine selection. Halo 4 moved so far away from Halo's arena shooter roots, and I know people have issues with me calling Halo an arena shooter sometimes, but whatever. It moved so far away from that, as did Halo 5, but again, Halo Infinite was a step in the right direction, and I've always said I think Halo Infinite sort of ended in a good place. I know it's not really over, but it's pretty much over. It ended in a good place. It was really the launch date that was the issue. The story in the campaign was way too limited. There weren't nearly enough maps, modes, guns, whatever, in multiplayer to make it interesting. So I'm hoping that the new engine will allow 343, Halo Studios, to do more while also keeping the ship on track. The graphics look great, but it's 2024. Most games look great. I don't think fans are wowed by that anymore, but I'm excited. And I didn't expect to be excited about Halo in October of 2024. Let me know your guys' thoughts, of course, on all this and more down below, and I'll see you next time.